Welcome to the Tim Booker channel, where wisdom is worth sharing. Wishing you an enjoyable listening experience. Today, the book I'm interpreting for you is called The New Geography of Jobs. How can one increase their income quickly? This book tells us that you can work in cities with higher income potential. Because for the same person, income varies depending on where they work. Whether you're a doctor, teacher, engineer, or a waiter. Salaries in larger cities are generally higher than in smaller ones. This holds true in the United States as well. According to the book's data, a computer expert working in San Francisco earns an annual salary of $130,000. Which is 25% to 40% higher than working in Boston, New York, or Washington. Even hairstylists in San Francisco earn 40% more than their counterparts in Detroit. Clearly, income disparities between cities are a common phenomenon. Hence, the subtitle of this book is The Determining Factor of Income is not your resume but where you live. You might wonder, if salaries are higher in big cities, why doesn't everyone work there? The answer is straightforward. While big cities offer higher wages, they also come with higher living costs. Especially in terms of housing, whether renting or buying. So, overall, big cities may not be suitable for everyone at all times. High housing prices and commuting pressures are common in big cities. In other words, when deciding where to pursue your career. Location matters significantly, but timing is also crucial. If you choose a city that's in decline, your prospects won't be great. Even if you pick a city on the rise, if you're late to the game, you'll face high living costs. Only when a city is in the early stages of prosperity can we join and reap greater development dividends. That's the insight this book brings us and a key topic we'll explore further. The author of this book, Enrico Moretti, is an American economist, specializing in labor economics and urban economics. He has received the Distinguished Contribution Award from the American Economic Association. This book is specifically written for a general audience, making it accessible yet profound. It made Forbes' annual book list upon publication and has been translated into at least 8 languages. The original title of the book is The New Geography of Jobs, focusing primarily on income, housing prices, and industries in the United States. But it offers insights into many important questions. For example, how does the decline of cities happen? Should ordinary people stay in smaller places or work in big cities? How to identify cities with development potential, and more. Next, I'll break down this book into 2 parts for you. In the first part, we'll explore how high-income cities are cultivated and why some cities have higher wage levels than others. In the second part, we'll delve into how individuals can identify cities with high income potential, thus choosing more lucrative job locations. I hope that after listening, this information will genuinely assist you. First, let's examine how high-income cities are formed and why the same job can pay more in some places than others. We can start with a story from the book. In the 1960s and 1970s, in the United States, a group of well-educated professionals left the cities and moved to rural communities that were less polluted, had shorter commutes, and offered safer schools. They believed these places provided a better quality of life. Among them was an engineer named David Breideloff, who initially worked in the Menlo Park area of Silicon Valley. However, with his wife expecting a child, he wanted to move to a medium-sized town called Visalia. This place was about 200 miles from Silicon Valley and primarily relied on agriculture for its economy. At that time, there wasn't much difference in income and education levels between the 2 areas. David thought this place might be better for raising a family, so he quit his job and sold his house in Menlo Park, moving his whole family to Visalia. But after several decades of development, these 2 places underwent a dramatic transformation. Silicon Valley became the world's most important innovation hub, with residents earning the second highest average income in the U.S. There were abundant job opportunities, low crime rates, and top-notch schools. In contrast, the town David moved to faced poor security, educational deficiencies, and became one of the lowest-paying areas in the country. Why did the incomes in these 2 places diverge so significantly? Let's explore another story. In the 1970s, Seattle was a struggling city in the United States, relying primarily on traditional manufacturing in the timber industry. Its docks were deteriorating, warehouses were in disrepair, unemployment was a serious issue, and there were safety concerns, causing many people to want to leave. But in 1979, something changed the course of Seattle's history. In that year, 24-year-old Bill Gates decided to move his 4-year-old company, Microsoft, from Albuquerque, New Mexico, to Seattle. At that time, Microsoft had only 13 employees and about $1 million in sales revenue. Bill Gates and another co-founder, Paul Allen, were both from Seattle and wanted to bring the company back to their hometown. This decision transformed the face of Seattle. Over the next few decades, Microsoft developed the world's most successful personal computer operating system, becoming the world's largest software company with a market value exceeding $2 trillion. This also propelled Seattle into becoming one of the most important innovation centers in the United States. As Microsoft employed tens of thousands of people in Seattle, many software engineers and programmers flocked to the city. Some Microsoft employees became millionaires through stock options and left to start their own companies. These emerging tech companies needed funding, so venture capital firms set up offices in the area. This convenient entrepreneurial environment attracted other high-tech startups. Consequently, Seattle evolved from a struggling regional city into a world-class innovation hub. Its residents also became one of the most creative and highest-paid groups in the United States. In contrast, the city, Albuquerque, where Microsoft was initially conceived, declined. For example, in 1980, college graduates from the University of Washington, located in Seattle, earned $4,200 more on average than those from Albuquerque. By around 2013, this gap had increased to $14,000. Additionally, Seattle surpassed Albuquerque by a wide margin in terms of public safety, cultural amenities, and school quality. Why did these differences arise? Following the author's line of thought, you'll discover that the driving force behind these disparities between cities is the power of innovation. You see, over the past half-century, the United States experienced a wave of industrial upgrading, with the economic center shifting from manufacturing to the information technology industry, including computer technology companies and internet service firms. Silicon Valley and Seattle played pivotal roles in this transformation. But cities like Visalia and Albuquerque, which failed to keep up with this trend, were left behind. We can see that both Silicon Valley and Seattle are centers of industrial innovation. For example, Silicon Valley is home to over 1,500 computer companies and attracts one-third of U.S. venture capital. It has produced world-renowned companies such as Intel, Apple, Google, Yahoo, and Facebook, among others. Their products are innovative, unique, and promising, which enables them to offer higher wages to their employees. Conversely, a place that lacks innovative products and technology and relies solely on traditional industries is bound to decline. Therefore, the author believes that innovation is the most potent force for changing a city's economic conditions and its social environment. Of course, innovation doesn't only encompass the information technology industry, it also partially includes fields such as entertainment, finance, design, marketing, and more. What's even more crucial is that once the innovation industry takes off, it doesn't just benefit the innovation sector itself, it has a ripple effect across various industries. For instance, as mentioned earlier, when Microsoft employed tens of thousands of engineers in Seattle, it increased the demand for various services in the area, creating numerous job opportunities for professions such as doctors, lawyers, drivers, janitors, hairdressers, and more. The author's research indicates that in the long term, in major metropolitan areas, for every high-paying technical job created, it can lead to the creation of 5 other jobs. In the case of Microsoft in Seattle, it didn't just employ its own staff but also generated 200,000 job opportunities in other industries. To study the impact of innovation on residents' incomes, the author of this book ranked innovative U.S. cities based on the per capita number of patents and investigated wage levels in the service industry. It was found that among the top 10 cities where service workers earned the highest wages, 7 were innovation hubs, while the remaining 3 were purely tourist destinations. The author also examined the wages of various professions, including lawyers, architects, production managers, hairdressers, and chefs, and found that cities with stronger innovation capabilities typically offered higher industry wages. The author also investigated the proportion of workers with different educational backgrounds as a reference for innovation capability. The results showed that cities with a higher proportion of college-educated residents not only had higher overall wages but also higher incomes for high school graduates. For example, in the third-ranked city, Boston, the average income for college-educated workers was $75,173, which was 75% higher than the average income for college graduates in the fourth-ranked city, Flint. Additionally, high school graduates in Boston earned an average annual income of $62,423, which was 44% higher than college graduates in Flint. It's evident that the presence of innovation industries in a city can drive other sectors, and places with a concentration of highly educated talent can boost residents' income levels. This phenomenon is quite common, but what's the mechanism behind it? In simple terms, it's a virtuous cycle. Think about it. If there's a group of people in a city with very high salaries, they can spend more money on consumption or hiring other services. They can also afford to pay higher prices, making it easier for service providers to earn money. This is the virtuous cycle of innovation industries on consumption. In production, when people collaborate, they influence each other. Generally, when ordinary workers collaborate with high-quality talent from innovative companies, it can enhance their creativity and productivity. This is the virtuous cycle of human capital. So, working in a big city with innovation industries and a concentration of high-quality talent leads to higher incomes. In the words of the book, a person's salary depends more on where they live than on their resume. Moreover, the education level of the people around you can also impact your salary. This is crucial when it comes to choosing a job. However, the issue is that high-wage cities often come with high living costs, especially housing costs. So, not everyone is suitable for working in a big city at all times. Take the United States, for example. The cities with the highest wages are also the areas with the highest housing and living costs, such as Silicon Valley, Boston, and Seattle. On the other hand, places with low living costs often have fewer earning opportunities. Therefore, choosing where to work isn't a simple decision, it requires comprehensive consideration. Not everyone is willing to work in first-tier cities because even though salaries are high, most of the income goes toward rent and living expenses, making it less profitable. Of course, for those who manage to buy a house early in such cities, living in a first-tier city is indeed a great option. Not only do they enjoy higher wages, but their assets also appreciate continuously. Conversely, if you enter a first-tier city late, you won't be able to afford housing, and most of your wages will be offset by high rent. So, the more important question is how to identify the potential of a city and enter it early to enjoy the maximum development dividends. Next, we'll discuss how to find cities with high income potential. This question can be approached from two perspectives. First, according to the book's viewpoint, how much you can earn in a city depends on whether it has innovation industries and can attract a sufficient number of innovative companies. The more of these companies there are, the higher residents' incomes tend to be. But why do innovative companies concentrate in certain places instead of going to locations with lower office rents? This is because, for innovation, the most crucial factors aren't cost, rather, it's about productivity and creativity. The author believes that in industrial development, three factors influence productivity and creativity, and determine the destination of innovative companies and the income levels of cities. The first factor is a dense labor market, meaning that cities with more employers and job seekers can better attract innovative industries, resulting in higher incomes. To illustrate, imagine you're a single person looking for a partner, and you have two dating websites to choose from. One has profiles of 100 men and 100 women, while the other has profiles of 10 men and 10 women. Which one would you choose? At first glance, these two websites may seem similar because they have an equal gender ratio and each seller has a potential buyer. However, in reality, whether you're a man or a woman, the chances of finding a suitable partner are higher on the larger website because there are more options of the opposite gender. The labor market functions in a similar way, as a dense labor market can better match employers and employees, leading to higher returns. According to the author's research, in the United States, labor markets with over 1 million workers have an average wage that is 1/3 higher than labor markets with 250,000 workers or fewer. Even after accounting for factors such as workers' seniority, occupation, and population structure, this difference persists. Therefore, market size is crucial. The author states that a dense labor market is one of the primary reasons for the clustering of innovative industries, so examining a city's employment scale can indicate its development prospects. The second factor that attracts innovative companies is a system of specialized services, which constitutes a complete economic ecosystem. For instance, a small software company in Seattle may not need to hire lawyers because there are many local law firms that provide services related to intellectual property, licensing, and company registration. Similarly, in the U.S. biotech hub of Durham, biotechnology companies can purchase specialized laboratory equipment from local suppliers, while hardware companies can find dedicated transportation services. This is what's referred to as an ecosystem, encompassing various essential services provided to innovative companies, such as advertising, legal, consulting, transportation, maintenance, and engineering support, among others. Of course, it also includes venture capital, which is a critical component of the high-tech ecosystem. For example, in Silicon Valley, a young entrepreneur who wants to start a company but doesn't want to pay thousands of dollars in legal fees can easily find a law firm willing to accept equity instead of cash. This represents a form of venture capital that exists only in places where high-tech companies are concentrated. Such an environment allows high-tech companies to focus on innovation and operate more efficiently. In other words, we can assess the potential for innovation in a particular location by examining its overall service capabilities, especially the availability of venture capital. The third factor driving innovation is the knowledge spillover effect. As mentioned earlier, places with higher education levels tend to have higher wages. This is not coincidental, as high-quality individuals have a spillover effect on the knowledge and creativity of those around them. Therefore, innovative companies are willing to locate themselves near other innovative companies to facilitate more interaction among creative individuals and enhance work quality. These interactions can occur in the workplace or even in casual settings like coffee shops. The diffusion of knowledge resulting from this exchange is crucial for innovative enterprises. In the words of a Silicon Valley executive, "We have advanced video conferencing facilities, but it's not the same as engineers sitting together and debating in front of a whiteboard." Through these interactions, intelligent individuals can inspire each other's innovative spirit, generating more new ideas and sparks, leading to higher achievements. This is why the ubiquity of the internet cannot replace the importance of physical proximity. Due to the knowledge spillover effect, having excellent neighbors or even competitors can enhance the overall creativity of employees. The presence of a dense population of highly educated talent is also an important criterion for assessing a city's innovation capability. To sum it up, whether a city can develop innovative industries and increase residents' incomes can be evaluated by considering the presence of a dense labor market, detailed industry specialization, and well-educated high-quality talent. If these factors are complemented by excellent infrastructure and government support for innovative industries, it's even better. You might wonder if there's a simpler criterion for ordinary people. As mentioned earlier, places with high wages often have high housing prices because the high-quality population can afford to pay more for homes. Conversely, places with high housing prices generally offer high wages, otherwise, they couldn't support such high housing costs. Therefore, examining the future trends in housing prices in a location can also indicate income growth prospects. For example, the rising housing prices in Silicon Valley are due to robust economic development, the emergence of outstanding companies like Google and Facebook, which not only employ many workers but also produce a group of millionaires and billionaires who can afford higher home prices. So, how can you evaluate a city's future housing prices? There are 8 major factors that determine urban housing prices. One category includes the commonly mentioned 4 aspects: city size, population inflow, per capita income, and land supply. Among these, it's worth emphasizing that city size can be measured by population, which reflects a city's resource aggregation capacity and management level. Of course, population inflow is also crucial. The more people move into a city, the more vibrant it is. This aligns with the previously mentioned concept of labor market density, meaning that in places with larger populations and more population inflow, there is greater potential for housing prices and incomes to rise significantly. Additionally, there are 4 factors that people often overlook: the number of child populations, the number of publicly listed companies, fiscal revenue, and the proportion of the service industry. These are important indicators for measuring a city's housing demand and economic vitality. The faster these factors grow, the greater the potential for housing prices and incomes to rise. It's worth mentioning that cities with well-developed service sectors generally have greater development potential than those dominated by industry. Their industry ecosystems are more diverse, making them more resilient to economic fluctuations. This aligns with the earlier point that having a comprehensive ecosystem and providing systematic professional services are indicators of a city's innovation potential and development prospects. Regarding this point, I would like to add one more perspective. When assessing a city's development prospects, apart from considering its population size, the most crucial aspect is examining its social division of labor. Cities with a detailed division of labor can influence and drive the development of surrounding areas, while these surrounding regions can also support the city's growth. Cities that heavily rely on natural resources and have a single economic model tend to have limited future development potential. Such cities find it challenging to generate innovative technologies. For example, former Soviet military-industrial cities or even contemporary examples like Dubai fall into this category. On the other hand, cities with complex divisions of labor possess greater potential for industrial and technological innovation. Major metropolises like Silicon Valley, Seattle, New York, Singapore, Beijing, and Tokyo have highly detailed divisions of labor and sufficiently complex social organizations. Only such cities can provide opportunities for the development of every individual and have a higher chance of giving birth to new technologies. In summary, whether you are buying a house or seeking employment, it's essential to remember three key factors: the direction of population movement, the concentration of emerging industries, and the level of support across various sectors. To wrap up our discussion about this book, let's recap. In the first part, we explained the reasons why a city can generate high incomes by narrating the stories of Silicon Valley and Seattle. It all comes down to industrial innovation and the spillover effect. Industrial innovation creates new products or unique services, leading to higher wages for those employed in these innovative sectors. Thanks to the spillover effect, innovative industries generate more job opportunities and result in higher wages in other sectors as well. In short, innovation can transform a city's economic landscape and social environment. To put it differently, in the short term, a person's income depends more on their work location and environment than on their qualifications or skills. Working in large cities with innovative industries and high-quality talent increases your chances of earning higher incomes. However, there's a challenge: high-wage cities also come with high living costs, especially housing expenses. As a city develops, if you arrive late, you may not only struggle to afford a house but also find that most of your income goes toward high rent. Therefore, discovering cities with development potential and entering them early becomes a crucial consideration. In the second part, we explored how to identify cities with the potential for high incomes from two perspectives. First, from an innovation standpoint, we need to assess whether a city can attract a sufficient number of innovative companies. This involves looking at the presence of a dense labor market, detailed industry specialization, and well-educated talent. Additionally, from a housing price perspective, wherever housing prices are likely to rise, incomes are also likely to increase. Therefore, it's important to consider the direction of population movement, the concentration of emerging industries, and the degree of specialization in various sectors. With these factors in place, there's more potential for future income growth. Lastly, it's worth noting that, according to the book's viewpoint, in the short term, an individual's income primarily depends on their willingness, ability, and quality in creating value and the people they associate with. In the long term, it's not just about the city, as cities rise and fall over time. Working in emerging cities leads to continuous income growth, while working in declining cities can be challenging. The rise and fall of cities are closely tied to the movement of talent. Where highly skilled talent goes, prosperity follows. Therefore, it can be said that the most critical factors determining a person's income are their willingness, ability, and quality in creating value, as well as their associations. Alright, that wraps up the interpretation of this book. Congratulations on completing another book. Thank you for your support and attention. Please subscribe to the Tim Booker channel, give us a thumbs up, and share with your family and friends. Wisdom is worth spreading, opening the door to a brighter future. Thank you, and goodbye.